Thank you very much. Cabin crew, doors to automatic, cross-check and report, please. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome on board this Jet2.com flight back home to Manchester. Your flight crew, they have introduced themselves to you. You've got Captain Lyndon Jenkins and First Officer Mark Farrell. Our flight time is expected to just short of 4.5 hours. We shall now take you through our safety procedures on board this Boeing 757-200 series aircraft. As a courtesy to the crew, ladies and gentlemen, but mainly for your safety, we do ask please you put all reading materials down and pay full attention to the cabin crew as we take you through our safety demonstration. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now take you through our safety procedures and equipment on board this Boeing 757-200 aircraft and ask for your full attention at this time. In the seat pocket in front of you, you'll find the safety instruction card. This highlights important safety information such as escape routes, use of oxygen masks and life jackets. It also shows the bracing position which must be adopted in an emergency landing. There are 8 exits on this aircraft, 4 on the left and 4 on the right. Your nearest exits are now being pointed out to you. Please take a moment now to locate your nearest exit, bearing in mind that your nearest exit may be behind you. To help you find your way to these exits, additional lighting is provided in the aisle at floor level. In the event of an emergency that requires you to leave the aircraft quickly, you must leave all hand baggage behind. If the cabin air supply fails, masks like these will automatically be presented from the panel above your head. When the mask appears, pull downwards, place over your mouth and nose, and breathe normally, adjusting the band to secure it. Do make sure that your own mask is fitted before assisting others. The bag on the mask may not inflate, but oxygen will still be flowing. A life jacket is located in a pocket beneath your seat. In the event of landing on water, and only when directed by the crew, remove the life jacket from the container and place the life jacket over your head. Pass this tape around your waist and fasten at the front as demonstrated, pulling the tab to tighten. Once outside the aircraft, inflate the life jacket by pulling downwards on this red toggle. Should it fail to inflate or require topping up, blow into this tube. There is a light and a whistle for attracting attention. Do not inflate your life jacket until you're well outside the aircraft. At this time, your seatbelt should be fastened. To fasten your seatbelt, press the 2 metal ends together until you hear a click, pull on the strap to adjust, and to release your seatbelt, lift the metal cover. Ladies and gentlemen, in preparation for takeoff, please now ensure your seatbelt is securely fastened. Your tray tables and cup holders are stowed away, your centre armrests are locked down, and your window blinds are fully open. Please ensure any bags or loose items are stowed securely under the seat in front of you, and all electronic equipment must be switched off until the seatbelt sign is no longer illuminated. We'd like to thank you for your attention and take this opportunity to wish you a pleasant flight.
Señoras y señores, bienvenidos a bordo de su vuelo Jet2.com. Estamos haciendo los preparativos finales antes de nuestra salida. Antes de partir, nos gustaría recordarles algunos elementos para su seguridad. Por favor, asegúrense ahora de que todo su equipaje de mano está bien colocado y su cinturón de seguridad bien abrochado antes de partir. Por motivos de seguridad, no deben usarse auriculares mientras el avión esté en tierra o durante el despegue o aterrizaje. No está permitido el uso de equipos electrónicos como compact discs, MP3 u ordenadores portátiles mientras esté iluminada la señal de cinturón abrochado. Los teléfonos móviles deben estar apagados y mantenerse apagados en todo momento a bordo del avión. Por favor, tengan en cuenta que en este vuelo está prohibido fumar. En breve, la tripulación de a bordo les hará una demostración de las normas y el equipo de seguridad de este avión. Antes, nos gustaría pedirles que lean con atención la ficha de instrucciones de seguridad situada en el bolsillo del asiento frente a usted. Gracias.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff. Thank you.
fastened whenever you're seated. May I remind you that we operate a no smoking policy on all of our flights, and smoking, including the use of electronic cigarettes, is not permitted in any area of the cabin, including the toilet compartments, which are fitted with smoke detectors for your safety. Please take care when opening overhead lockers, in case anything has moved which could fall and cause injury to yourself or another person. We kindly ask you to close the lockers after use. Any electrical items switched to flight safe mode prior to takeoff may be used once the seatbelt sign has been switched on. It is not permitted to switch on a device in order to enable flight safe mode now that we're in the air. Any item must remain in the flight safe mode to prevent any transmission or reception. We shall never commencing you in flight service, but until then, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Gentlemen, Jet2 Holidays would like to combat those holiday blues that some of you may be feeling right now. And for this reason, ladies and gentlemen, Jet2 Holidays are giving each and every one of you the opportunity of £60 off your next booking for summer 2016. It's a discount per booking when you book your 2016 holiday, ladies and gentlemen, with Jet2 Holidays, but the crew will be passing through the cabin now with these rain checks. Please do not hesitate to contact any one of the crew as we pass through the cabin. Thank you.
for landing, please. Thank you.
gentlemen, please remain in your seats with your seatbelts fastened and all of your hand baggage stowed until the aircraft is parked and the seatbelt signs have been switched off. Your mobile telephones may be switched on once the aircraft doors have been opened. Before you leave us, please ensure you have all your personal items with you. Have a good look in the overhead lockers and the area around your seat, but please take care when opening the overhead lockers in case any items have moved during today's flight. We'd like to advise you that smoking is not permitted anywhere inside the terminal building, nor is it permitted on your journey to the terminal itself. The aircraft will be met by our representatives who will take you into the terminal building, and you'll find personnel within the baggage reclaim area should you require any further assistance. For the best deal on your next holiday, visit the Jet2 Holidays website or contact your local travel agent. Finally, on behalf of us all at Jet2.com and Jet2 Holidays, may we thank you for flying with us today. We hope you've enjoyed your flight and we look forward to welcoming you back on board again soon.